Well, welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live here on SABC2. Now, KPMG, Absa, Standard Bank and FNB are among the institutions to cut ties with Gupta-owned Oakbay Investments following accusations of state capture. Yesterday, the banks released a press release saying that the decision to cut ties with the family were taken independently. Cosatu, on the other hand, has lambasted the big banks and the big businesses who have cut ties with Oakbay companies, saying it would affect innocent workers as a result. The Federation says there is a huge offensive directed at the working class and the poor people from big businesses and powerful individuals who are trying to corporatize the state. Now, for more on this, we joined in the studio by Cosatu President Sdumo Dlamini. Good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Palesa. Thanks for having me this morning.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. Now, Cosatu is not quite happy with the banks having cut ties with Oakbay. What are your main concerns?
Look, it's quite strange, as they say, it's taken independently, that they simultaneously, at the same time, took a decision to cut or to close down the accounts of Oakbay. And indeed, to us, this is pure collusion. They are guilty of collusion in our books. They have decided to come together and take a political stance and cut ties. But we are a trade union organization, we're a workers' organization. This decision inadvertently has affected workers who right now they are not sure whether they have a future with those employers or not. We are very much concerned about that. But two, we think there is hypocrisy. You will remember that in 2010, the big five, I won't name them, in the construction industry, they would have colluded. They were found guilty by the Competition Commission to have colluded and fixed prices. They were found guilty and fined over R1 billion. These banks, not a single one had to cut ties with them. Yet they were found guilty of a serious crime of collusions, those construction companies.
So what are you basically saying? Are you
Selective
saying that
punishment.
So are you saying that the bank's decisions were politically motivated?
They are politically motivated. We know who sits in the Absa bank. We know who sits in the other bank, politicians who are involved in the debate that is currently obtaining. Look, we have no brief from the Guptas. We actually do not like what they do. While having a fight with them on conditions of work in other areas where they operate. But if we allow in South Africa a situation where banks will decide and collude for no apparent reason that is shown to everybody to take a decision as drastic as this one. You know, Cosatu banks with one of these banks. What will we do tomorrow if they decide we don't like Cosatu, then we're cutting ties with them? What's going to happen to the work Cosatu does in the country? That's how bad this thing is, and we're calling on them really to review their decision. We have no brief about the Guptas. We met with them, by the way. We still told them in their meetings what we don't like as the Federation, but we do not believe the banks have a moral ground to really take these decisions. Remember, they themselves largely have been found guilty of inflating interests or charges. It's huge. It's killing the working class. It is the issue of transformation, and they want to hoard this space for themselves, flex their muscle, so that everybody will not dare talk about transformation in the banks.
So seeing that you're not happy in the Dlamini, what is the Federation going to do with the situation?
We have firstly met with Oakbay leadership. We have facts on how the decisions have taken, and I can tell you, it's not true that they independently took this decision. It's not true. The evidence shown to us shows otherwise.
Who did the banks collide with? Are you saying that you have
amongst
facts?
Themselves? They took a decision, a conscious decision amongst themselves, and say, let's cut them out. We don't think it is the right way. We don't think it sends a message. By the way, these are the people who are accusing us of creating an unconducive environment for investors. Now, They are the ones who take a decision to cut other so-called investors out. Again, we have no brief for the Guptas. But should we allow this trend to continue in the country, banks will indeed decide our lives.
But are you able to talk to us about the evidence that you say you've seen during a meeting?
We will talk to them about that evidence. We are yet to call a meeting with them, with those CEOs, and have a conversation.
Do you have the evidence at your disposal?
We have that.
So what are you going to do with the evidence?
We'll show it to them and say what we have done, it's not right. It has impacted on the livelihoods of people in South Africa. It has created a precedent that can destroy jobs in this country. We're about creating jobs. They allow a situation where people will say it's okay, you can have a company closing down because a bank has decided to cut ties with them.
But the decision has been taken. Hence, I'm saying to you, what are you going to do with the information that you have at your disposal?
Yes, as I say, we are going to be calling for a meeting with them. Hope they agree. We do discuss with some of them now and again. We hope to meet as soon as possible so that we discuss this matter.
Now, your other concern, obviously, is the fact that ordinary people are going to be affected in terms of job losses. Talk to us about that.
Yes, because you know that Oakbay, in their different companies, you can talk in the IT sector, they have Sahara. In the media housing, you would have them in ANN7 and TNA, you have them in mines, they are involved. You're talking over 10,000 jobs or employees who are currently on the jobs, and you are talking about close to 30,000 linked people to these people, because we know how our families operate. So it's a drastic step that they have taken. They have to consider this and create an environment where those workers can say we still have a job.
Now, you have had your meeting with Oakbay. You're planning to meet with the banks, and you're saying that there is, political influence.
Yes.
But are you able to say who's perhaps giving these orders to the banks?
Look, I'm not going to get into that space in this meeting. I'm also not going to be exposing even those who give us the information. Isn't how you also treat your people?
That's how we operate, yes.
Yes, because we want to deal with the issue. The issue here is the banks have colluded. And I want to hear what the Competition Commission must say about this matter. Cosatu will also consider exploring that avenue of going to the Competition Commission to put to test this. As we know, previously there's been cases where the banks would have taken such decisions, and we will cry, say, why do you close me out? We go to court, the court will still say, no, the bank has a right to do so. This time around is a different scenario.
Now, there seems to be a particular focus on the Guptas, especially following the allegations of state capture. As the Federation, how important is it that companies are clear of such activities? Very
much so. We can't have a situation where companies or businesses tend to unduly influence those who are in power to access business. It can be. That's what we call the corporate capture. It happens in different areas. In the labor unions, we're dealing with the same demon. We're dealing with the same demon within the state. And it's not just one company, it's a range of business people who are talking to different people within the state. We're saying it can't be right. You should do business proper. We should follow the rules of doing business properly. It cannot be that you have influential companies who would have unfettered access to certain individuals because they are in power at the expense of transformation, at the expense of any other logical procedures.
Now, Dlamini, how long do you think this whole issue will take to be resolved? Like you're saying that you still need to meet with the banks. How long do you think that you're going to come to conclusion?
Look, we want this matter resolved as quick as possible. We want to be assured as quick as possible that there is nowhere in the country where decisions, we're crying corporate capture within the state, and vice versa, amongst the private sector themselves taking such decisions which impact on the workers. It's an urgent matter. We will be writing to the banks to have that meeting very, very soon.
Now on to something different. In recent weeks, we have actually seen a number of organizations, including some politicians, veterans of the struggle, calling for President Jacob Zuma to step down. What is Cosatu's stance on this matter?
Cosatu has convened its political commission. It's a substructure of the Central Executive Committee. We looked critically into this matter. We looked into what is entailed into the matter. We looked into the judgment, which we are happy with. We looked into what the court has prescribed on what the president must do and what government must do. We are happy with. And we believe that that should allow South Africans to take this matter behind them. We are aware of the calls that are happening. We have accepted the program of the ANC to allow its own structures and engagements with the societies, different groupings who are talking. We do not believe that a call to recall the president is a solution. We are also talking to our members. We having shop steward councils. We are discussing this matter, and the feedback we are getting is still in line with the view that there is no need for a recall, but the ANC and its leadership collective must have a thoroughgoing self-introspection about how they do certain things within the organizations. Let's not undermine the noise that everybody is making in the country. Let's listen to that and fix those issues people are raising. But we won't solve them by recalling a president.
So you're saying that the president should not be recalled? But
Cosatu says no to the recall. We're saying no to the recall because we know what happened in 2008 when a person who was no more a president of the ANC was recalled. This time we have a person who is the president of the ANC elected from conference by a massive, massive majority of the ANC members.
Now, quickly, finally, you're saying that the ANC should do an introspection.
Yes.
What would be an ideal final outcome that would satisfy Cosatu in this regard?
Obviously, the president, as he has promised, must pay good to what he has promised to do following those instructions. That must happen. The ANC itself must focus on the unity of the organization. Fix whatever, no matter they think there are small differences, fix those, put the organization together, because that's what society is looking for. A united, leading African National Congress that must take them forward. They must fix those things. Cosatu is very much concerned about the issues of consternations and divisions in the organization. We come from the space. We know what it looks like.
Well, that's where we're going to have to leave it. Sibongeka Kolubaba.
Ngiyabonga.
Thank you very much. That's Cosatu President Sdumo Dlamini. Well, it's time for your 7 o'clock news with Peter Ndora. Good morning to you, Peter.
Good morning, Paris.